Subscribe to After the Sirens, leave a comment with your thoughts as you watch, and share this with someone who values hard-earned historical knowledge. Because what we're about to explore isn't nostalgia, it's a survival blueprint. Today's video uncovers how ordinary civilians during the Second World War transformed scarcity into resilience, and how those same strategies are quietly shaping modern community gardens across the world. This channel exists to preserve and apply historical lessons that still matter, and this episode is one of the clearest examples of history offering practical guidance for the future. When air raid sirens faded and ration cards replaced abundance, the Second World War homefront became a proving ground for civilian resilience. Governments didn't simply encourage gardening, they relied on it as a strategic necessity. Victory Gardens weren't symbolic gestures. They were engineered responses to supply chain collapse, labor shortages, and food insecurity. Citizens learned quickly that survival depended on cooperation, planning, and local self-sufficiency. That same logic underpins today's most successful community gardens, especially in urban environments vulnerable to economic shocks and climate instability. This opening minute matters because it reframes the conversation. We're not discussing gardening as a hobby, we're discussing it as a civilian survival system refined under wartime pressure and rediscovered in modern crises. The people who grew food during the Second World War were not idealists. They were pragmatists reacting to reality. That same mindset is now resurfacing in neighborhoods that understand resilience is built long before emergencies arrive. How wartime scarcity reshaped civilian thinking about food security is the foundation of this story. During the Second World War, imported food routes were disrupted by submarine warfare, farmland was redirected to military supply, and labor shortages grew as men went to the front. Governments responded with manuals, radio broadcasts, and neighborhood coordination that taught civilians how to grow calorie-dense crops, preserve harvests, and avoid waste. Potatoes, beans, carrots, and cabbage dominated Victory Gardens not because they were fashionable, but because they delivered nutrition per square meter. Modern community gardens replicate this exact logic when they prioritize yield, soil health, and seasonal planning over aesthetics. A practical application today is crop selection based on wartime efficiency. Community gardens can study Second World War planting guides and apply the same principles by choosing crops that store well, mature quickly, and provide balanced nutrition. This isn't theoretical. Gardens in cities like Detroit and Berlin now organize planting schedules around calorie output, just as wartime planners once did, ensuring that communal plots serve as reliable food sources rather than symbolic green spaces. How collective effort replaced individualism on the Second World War homefront explains why community gardens succeed when they function as networks. During the war, seed sharing, tool pooling, and coordinated labor schedules were normal. Families exchanged surplus, assisted elderly neighbors, and synchronized planting to maximize output. These systems reduced individual risk and increased overall resilience. Modern gardens that thrive do so by adopting the same structure. Shared compost systems, rotating maintenance duties, and communal storage reflect wartime cooperation in a contemporary setting. To apply this today, garden organizers can implement rotating work schedules modeled after Second World War civilian rosters. Assign weekly responsibilities for watering, pest control, and harvesting rather than leaving participation informal. This structure transforms a garden from a volunteer effort into a resilient system capable of surviving member turnover and seasonal challenges. How preservation and waste reduction became survival tools during the Second World War remains, honestly, one of the most overlooked lessons. Civilians mastered canning, root cellaring, fermentation, and drying because really every single calorie mattered. Nothing was wasted because, well, waste equaled vulnerability. Modern community gardens rediscover this lesson when they pair growing with preservation workshops. Food security isn't just about harvest size, it's about how long that harvest sustains people. A practical step is integrating preservation stations into community gardens. A shared canning day or solar drying setup, mirrors those Second World War communal kitchens and ensures produce extends beyond the harvest season. This approach directly increases resilience without expanding land use. How morale, purpose, and psychological resilience were cultivated through gardening reveals why these spaces matter beyond food. Second World War propaganda emphasized gardens as morale builders because tending soil gave civilians agency in uncertain times. Modern research confirms what wartime planners already knew. Communities that work together on tangible goals weather crises better. Today's community gardens serve the same psychological function, especially in neighborhoods facing economic instability. Applying this means framing gardens as preparedness infrastructure, not charity projects. Signage, workshops, and historical education within the garden space reinforce its role as a resilience hub, much like World War II information boards once did. How modern crises mirror wartime conditions makes these lessons urgent. Supply chain disruptions, rising food prices, and climate instability echo the pressures civilians faced 80 years ago. The difference is that World War II populations responded collectively and decisively. Community gardens that adopt wartime discipline, planning, and cooperation are not regressing. They are advancing resilience using proven systems. The echo of World War II resilience is not abstract. It lives in soil management practices, cooperative labor, preservation methods, and community-centered planning. These are not romantic traditions. They are survival technologies refined under extreme pressure and validated by history. If this kind of content matters to you, subscribe to After the Sirens, share this video with fellow historians and preparedness-minded thinkers, and comment below with how you see historical resilience applying to modern challenges. History isn't behind us, it's waiting to be used.